A very good morning. It's just past 8 this 23rd August morning and we're back again with Breakfast Show. I'm Anil Thomas. Over the next 1 hour, we'll take you through the major happenings across India and the globe from the field of politics, business and sports. Also, our regular segment on health and good news India story. Our continued focus across the day, Prime Minister Modi's three-nation visit with the important meeting with the French Prime Minister scheduled later today. Also, his interaction with the Indian community at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris. That's not all. Amazon, world's largest rainforest ravaged by fire with an increase of over 85% compared to last year. And in sports, WADA suspending India's national dope testing laboratory. Plenty of action in the next 60 minutes, but first up this Friday morning, the headlines we are tracking at the top of this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins his tri-nation tour with a one-on-one meet with the French President Emmanuel Macron in Château-de-Chantilly. President Macron says J&K is a bilateral issue and no third party should interfere. Hopes for peace and stability in the region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanks France for cooperating in fighting terrorism. First Rafale to be delivered to India next month. Prime Minister Modi and President Macron discuss a host of issues including the Jetapur project, climate change, digital and cyber security. Prime Minister to address the Indian community at UNESCO headquarters in Paris will dedicate a memorial to the Indian victims of the two Air India crashes in France in the 50s and 60s. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to also meet France Prime Minister Charles Philippe. Special CBI court sends former Union Finance Minister P. Chidambaram to CBI custody till August 26th in the INEX media corruption case. The agency had sought his custody, saying he was not cooperating in the investigation. Amazon, world's largest rainforest ravaged by thousands of fire, an increase of 85% compared to last year. Brazilian president says its government lacks the resources to fight Amazon fires. French President Emmanuel Macron says it's an international crisis that needs to be on the top of the agenda at the G7 summit. India reached 203 for 6 in 68.5 overs before rain forces early stumps on day one of the first test match against West Indies. Ajinkya Rahane's top scores with 81. Well, first up, news from Prime Minister Modi's visit to France. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Indian community at an event at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris on day 2 of his France visit. A memorial for Indian victims of two Air India flight tragic air crashes of 1950 and 1966 will also be inaugurated. Further, cementing the relationship with France, Prime Minister Modi on Thursday held a bilateral meeting with the French President Emmanuel Macron. The two leaders discussed on issues ranging from terrorism to skill development. Making its stance clear on the Kashmir issue, France said it is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. The French president also expressed happiness over the delivery of the first Rafale jet by September. On Monday, the Prime Minister will be attending the G7 at the Biarritz partner.
The warmth at the airport as a cross-section of the Indian diaspora in Paris turned out to greet their Prime Minister. And then came the meeting of two friends. President Emmanuel Macron playing host to Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the historic Château-de-Chantilly. The two leaders walked around the estate with Macron, explaining the historic significance of the chateau to PM Modi and took him around the centuries-old building. The two leaders then held a one-on-one interaction. Terrorism figured high on the agenda.
हम दोनों देशों को आतंकवाद और रेडिकलाइजेशन का लगातार सामना करना पड़ रहा है। क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म का मुकाबला करने में हमें फ्रांस का बहुमूल्य समर्थन और सहयोग मिला है। इसके लिए हम प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रो का धन्यवाद देते हैं। हमने सिक्योरिटी और काउंटर टेररिज्म पर सहयोग को व्यापक बनाने का इरादा किया है। मैरीटाइम और साइबर सिक्योरिटी में भी हमारे बढ़ते सहयोग को और मजबूत करने का फैसला भी हमने किया है।
PM Modi and President Macron also discussed the Kashmir issue. President Macron assured Prime Minister Modi of France's support to India's stand. He called for restraint and dialogue to ensure peace and stability in the region. President Macron categorically stated that Kashmir is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan and said that he will communicate the same to Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan.
फरवरी में जो पुलवामा में जो भी अटैक हुआ था उसके लिए हमने अपनी सहानुभूति जताई है और हम ये कहेंगे कि हम आतंकवाद पे भी एक दूसरे के साथ मिलकर काम करते रहेंगे। ये जो स्थिरता की जो नीति है उसको हम पूरी तरह से समर्थन देते हैं। कुछ दिनों बाद मैं पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री के साथ भी बातचीत करूंगा ताकि हम उनको भी यही कहें कि ये बात इस मुद्दे पर जो है वो द्विपक्षीय तौर पे ही बातचीत होनी चाहिए। हम जो चाहते हैं वो कि हर जगह पे स्थिरता रहे और कोई आतंकवाद की घटना ना हो।
President Macron congratulated PM Modi for the election result. The two leaders discussed the upcoming G7 summit. Climate change is a shared priority that both nations will take to the G7 table. India and France have spearheaded the International Solar Alliance. Enhancing the digital as well as space partnership was also discussed. An agreement was reached on the cybersecurity front. Skill development was also discussed. On the civil nuclear front, both nations agreed to work on the Jaitapur plant over the next year. President Macron said bilateral trade between India and France has increased by 25% over the last 1 year. An Indian cultural festival, Namaste France, will be organized in 2021-22. Defense and strategic ties too were discussed. President Macron expressed happiness over the Rafale deal and said that the first Rafale jet will be delivered by September.
पहला जो राफेल का जो विमान है वो अगले महीने भारत पहुंच जाएगा और ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही बड़ी बात है। अगर हम सिविल न्यूक्लियर की बात करें, रासायनिक परमाणु की बात करें, तो हमने ये कहा है कि इस साल के अंत तक जैतापुर पर हम ऐसे कुछ चीज़ों पर काम करेंगे ताकि इस साल के आखिर तक हम इस प्रोजेक्ट को परियोजना को आगे ले जा सकें।
India and France inked an MOU in the field of renewable energy. The two countries entered into an administrative arrangement for cooperation in skill development and vocational training and a cooperation agreement on cyber security as well as an implementing arrangement for joint maritime domain awareness.
भारत और फ्रांस ने कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर आजादी और लोकतंत्र की रक्षा की है, फासिज्म और एक्सट्रीमिज्म का मुकाबला किया है। फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के दौरान हजारों भारतीय सैनिकों का बलिदान आज भी फ्रांस में याद किया जाता है। आज आतंकवाद, क्लाइमेट चेंज, एनवायरनमेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी के समावेशी विकास की चुनौतियों का सामना करने के लिए फ्रांस और भारत एक साथ मजबूती से खड़े हैं।
India and France enjoy extremely friendly ties and have been working together bilaterally and multilaterally for years. This visit will certainly add to the ground covered during the previous interactions with the French leadership. With Shailendra Mishra and Sudhir Yadav, Bureau Report, DD News.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will arrive in UAE today in the second leg of his tour. This is the third time Prime Minister Modi will be visiting UAE in the last 4 years, and it is hoped that it will give a new momentum to the already existing strong ties between India and the United Arab Emirates. During the two-day visit, the Prime Minister will be honoured with the highest national award of UAE, the Order of Zayed. UAE Minister of Tolerance Sheikh Nayyam bin Mubarak Al Nayyam has said that the highest national award to Prime Minister Modi is a mark of special relationship between India and United Arab Emirates. He added that UAE thinks of India as a special great friend and a respected and trusted partner. UAE President in April had announced the decision to confer its highest award on Prime Minister Modi in recognition of the pivotal role played by him in enhancing bilateral ties between the two countries to the level of comprehensive strategic relations. Well, back home, the special CBI court sent former Union Finance Minister P. Chidambaram to CBI custody for 4 days till August 26 in the INX media corruption case. The CBI had sought the custody of P. Chidambaram, saying he was not cooperating in the investigation. Here's all that transpired in the special CBI court.
In CBI custody, well over 24 hours after the probe agency launched a manhunt for him, former Union Minister and senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram will have to stay in 4-day CBI custody till 26 August in the INX media case. He was presented before the Rouse Avenue Court on Thursday. The special CBI court remanded Chidambaram to CBI custody after hearing arguments from the counsels of CBI and Chidambaram for over 1.5 hours.
कोर्ट ने जो पुलिस रिमांड मांग रही थी, इसको जस्टिफाई करार दिया है, जस्टिफाइड माना है और 26 तक के लिए इनको जो है रिमांड पे भेज दिया है। और इसमें कोर्ट ने ये कहा है कि हर 48 घंटे पे उनकी चेकअप होती रहेगी, मेडिकल चेकअप होगा।
CBI had produced Chidambaram before Special Judge Ajay Kumar Kuhar and sought his 5 days remand for custodial interrogation, saying there is need to unearth a larger conspiracy. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta appeared for the CBI, arguing that Chidambaram was not cooperating in the investigation. Tushar Mehta said that Chidambaram's custodial interrogation was necessary to unearth the quid pro quo and larger conspiracy, and that he is required to be confronted with documents. The Solicitor General said that CBI was not extorting a confession from him, but has the right to reach the root of the case. Mehta placed the Delhi High Court's judgment dismissing Chidambaram's anticipatory bail plea and also referred to the observations made in it. He said the charge sheet has not been filed in the case yet and the case is at pre-charge sheet stage. Therefore, CBI needs material which Chidambaram is holding. An effective investigation is possible only in custodial interrogation. Mehta contended that serious, active and informed role of the accused and the money trail is made out and has to be probed. He argued that Chidambaram's custodial interrogation was required to get answers of certain questions for an effective probe. Meanwhile, Chidambaram's lawyer opposed the CBI contention, saying all the other accused, including Chidambaram's son Karti, have already been granted bail in the case. They also argued that the former Union Minister was not a flight risk. Thursday's developments in the court took place after Chidambaram was arrested amid high-voltage drama from his Zorbagh residence in New Delhi on Wednesday evening. A CBI team accompanied by a Delhi police team had arrived at his residence to arrest him. With the main gate closed, some officers had to scale the walls of Chidambaram's house to gain entry and arrest him. CBI had registered an FIR on 15 May 2017 alleging irregularities in the Foreign Investment Promotion Board clearance granted to the INX Media Group for receiving overseas fund of Rs 305 crore in 2007 during Chidambaram's tenure as the Union Finance Minister. Thereafter, the Enforcement Directorate lodged a money laundering case in this regard in 2018. On May 30, 2007, FIPB cleared FDI of Rs 4.62 crore for the INX Media, but it rejected the proposal to downstream investment of INX Media in INX News. The CBI has alleged that INX Media flouted the conditional approval of FIPB and brought in Rs 305 crore of FDI in the firm against the approval inflow of Rs 4.62 crore only. In January 2008, the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Finance Ministry flagged the foreign direct investment of over 305 crore by 3 Mauritius-based companies in INX Media Private Limited, then owned by Peter and Indrani Mukherjee. Several years later, while investigating a company associated with Chidambaram's son Karti Chidambaram, ED found documents linked to INX Media in the computer of Karti's CA Bhaskar Raman. The documents indicated payments made to Karti's alleged company by INX Media at the time the Finance Ministry granted it FIPB approval. CBI alleges that Karti influenced top officials of FIPB. Indrani Mukherjee has disclosed to CBI that Karti's company had demanded kickbacks from her. She has now turned approver in the case. With inputs from Neeraj Singh and Ajay Vikram Singh from New Delhi, DD India.
While addressing a press conference, Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting Prakash Javadekar said that Chidambaram's case is the case of massive corruption and the Congress party is united to support him.
Chidambaram's case is a case of massive corruption. It's a scam. The Congress is synonymous with corruption because looting the country was their only mission, and therefore now law is catching up. We don't interfere in the works of CBI or any other investigating agency. Law will take its own course. But now Congress is united for protecting, they have come to protect corrupt.
Well, more restrictions were relaxed in the Kashmir Valley on Thursday, even as no untoward incident was reported from anywhere in the valley. Attendance of teachers in primary and middle schools and off-government staff in offices also improved. Here's how the situation in the valley is limping back to normal.
In view of the improving situation, the movement of people and traffic was slowly increasing in the city and other district headquarters of the valley. Public transport stayed off roads, but a few inter-district cabs and auto rickshaws were seen plying in some areas. The attendance of teachers in schools up to middle class level and employees in government offices was also improving. Barricades have been removed from uptown and civil line areas of the city as well as from most areas in other districts. However, the deployment of security forces continues to avoid any law and order problems. Apart from Srinagar, the situation seems to be peaceful and calm in other parts of the valley too. In Kupwara, which has seen violent protests and clashes with security forces in the past, the situation is normal and nothing untoward has been reported from the district so far. The youth are now more concerned about their career and job prospects.
कॉलेजेस की ज़रूरत होनी चाहिए थी, यूनिवर्सिटी की ज़रूरत होनी चाहिए थी, बल्कि उसके नतीजे में आज भी हम लोग प्राइमरी स्कूल की जगह मिडिल को देख रहे हैं. हम इसकी मांग कर रहे हैं कि हमें मिडिल स्कूल दे दो या हमें हाई स्कूल दे दो.
हाँ कि जो नए नए लड़के हैं यहाँ मतलब उन्होंने थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ने लगे. अब थोड़े थोड़े जो नौजवान हैं आज के वही पढ़ रहे हैं स्कूलों में. उनको भी दिक्कत पड़ी है यहाँ के मतलब ये स्कूल उनको दूर है. हमारे इलाके में वहाँ पे एक पुल है, 4-5 साल हो गया. बहुत सारे ठेकेदार आए, उनको देखा उन्होंने, मगर अभी तक वो पुल बहाल नहीं हुआ.
The situation in Jammu continues to be calm and peaceful. The schools are once again bristling with activity of students who seem to be happy to be back to school.
कि हमारे बच्चे आ रहे हैं, रेगुलर पढ़ रहे हैं, कोई भी ऐसा नेगेटिव रिजल्ट नहीं है. हम कैसे लोगों को शो करें, हम कैसे लोगों तक ये मैसेज पहुंचाएं कि हमारे स्कूलों में काम जो है सही हो रहा है.
स्कूल खुले हैं तब से हम सारे बच्चे रेगुलर आ रहे हैं और अच्छे से हमारी सारी क्लासेस लग रही हैं. जितना हमारा सिलेबस रह गया था छुट्टियों की वजह से उतना हमारे टीचर कवर कर रहे हैं. थोड़ी एक्स्ट्रा क्लासेस लेकर उस जो सिलेबस रह गया था उसको कवर कर रहे हैं.
सर अभी तो ठीक है, माहौल सब ठीक हो गया है, स्कूल भी खुल गया है. यहाँ पे हमें जो पहले से जो हमारे सिलेबस बीच में रुक गए थे उसको अब ठीक से कर रहे हैं. सर लोग मेहनत कर रहे हैं उसको कंप्लीट करने में.
Shops and other business establishments remain shut, though there is no strike called by any separatist group or other organizations, and the situation in the valley continues to remain calm and peaceful. Bureau Report, DD India.
Pakistan initiated an unprovoked ceasefire violation in the Sundarbani sector in Rajouri district in Jammu and Kashmir at about 20:45 hours on Thursday night. Indian Army is retaliating befittingly. The 24th Western Zonal Council meeting, which took place in Panji under the chairmanship of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Chief Ministers of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa and administrators of Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli also attended the day-long meeting. During the meeting, the Union Home Minister proposed major police, law and order reforms like linking case investigation with ACR of police officials. These also included completion of investigation within 60 days. Among others, Ensuring narcotic bureau coordination among states and center and zero tolerance in drugs were important issues that were discussed. Appointment of director of prosecution in each state will be expedited and center will issue guidelines soon. Maharashtra Navnirman Sena Chief Raj Thackeray appeared before the Enforcement Directorate in South Mumbai for questioning in the IL&FS investigation, even as police threw a security ring in the area. The MNS chief was summoned by the ED in connection with its probe into the alleged irregularities relating to loans and equity investment worth 450 crore rupees by the IL&FS in Kohinoor CTNL Infrastructure Company. Earlier, Raj Thackeray had said he had faced such notices from government agencies and courts in the past and honored them, and he was going to honor the ED notice too. Moving to international story, Amazon, the world's largest rainforest and a bulwark against climate change, has been ravaged by thousands of fires in the last 1 week. The smoke from the resulting fires hangs at the horizon like a fog. About 73,000 fires have been detected by Brazil's Space Research Center. It's a record number and an 85% increase compared to last year. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron has said that the record number of fires in the Amazon rainforest is an international crisis that needs to be on the top of the agenda at the G7 summit. He tweeted, "Our house is burning literally." UN Chief Antonio Guterres also said he was deeply concerned by the fires. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro earlier said his government lacked the resources to fight the surge in fires in the world's biggest rainforest. Conservationists, however, have blamed Bolsonaro's government for the Amazon plight, saying he has encouraged loggers and farmers to clear the land. Supreme Court of Bangladesh on Thursday temporarily removed 3 High Court judges from their judicial duties in the light of a primary probe against them. These judges later applied for leave. This was confirmed by the spokesperson of the Supreme Court, Saifur Rahman, in Dhaka. He, however, refrained from elaborating the charges against the 3 judges. President Ashraf Ghani has said that it was essential the Afghan government would be present in any potential peace negotiations with the Taliban as talks move to the 9th round of the process. The United States and the Taliban officials resumed talks in Qatar on Thursday to firm up a deal enabling the withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan in return for the Taliban security guarantees. About 20,000 foreign troops, most of them American, are now in Afghanistan as part of a US-led NATO mission to train, assist and advise Afghan forces. The two sides have held discussions over a potential agreement on 4 key issues, including a Taliban guarantee that it will not allow foreign militants to use Afghanistan as a launch pad to conduct attacks outside the country, the complete withdrawal of US and NATO forces, and intra-Afghan dialogue and a permanent ceasefire. Syrian government forces on Thursday opened a corridor for people who want to leave the insurgent territory in the northwest Syria, where an army offensive has gained ground. Tens of thousands of people have fled towards the Turkish borders in recent days as air and ground attacks battered the parts of Idlib and Hama in the northwest, the last big rebel stronghold. After the collapse of a brief ceasefire this month, the Syrian army troops backed by Russia have now marched into a town in Idlib province in rebel hands since 2014. The head of the state's reconciliation committee, Ali Haider, said getting civilians out would help troops take military and security measures in the region. He repeated the Damascus government's vow to liberate every inch of Syria. The United Nations says hundreds of people have been killed since the offensive began in late April. U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper has confirmed the death of Hamza bin Laden, the son and designated heir of Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden. US media reported at the beginning of August that bin Laden was killed during the last 2 years in an operation that involved the United States, citing the US intelligence officials. But President Donald Trump and other senior officials have refused to confirm or deny it publicly. The 15th of the Osama bin Laden's 20 children and a son of his third wife, Hamza, thought to be about 30 years old, was emerging as a leader in the Al-Qaeda franchise. The State Department said in announcing the reward. Russia, meanwhile, has warned of a potential arms race with the United States during a Security Council meeting held on Thursday about US plans to develop and deploy medium-range missiles. The Pentagon had on Monday said it had tested a conventionally configured cruise missile that hit its target after more than 500 kilometers of flight, the first such test since the United States pulled out the Cold War-era Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Meanwhile, Russia on Thursday showcased to the media the world's first floating nuclear power plant, Atmadev Lomonosov. Russia has maintained that the main advantage of the new type of nuclear plant is its mobility that allows it to reach any point with demand for energy. It also said that it would do no harm to the environment. Today, the world celebrates the International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. UNESCO celebrates this year the 25th anniversary of the Slave Route Project, Resistance, Liberty, Heritage, which offers the opportunity for collective consideration of the historic causes. The day intends to inscribe the tragedy of the slave trade in the memory of all the people, as today in 1971 saw the beginning of the uprising that played a crucial role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. The Director General of UNESCO invites the Ministers of Culture of all member states to organize events and encourage young people to participate in these events. Well, time now to welcome on board my colleague Arun Sharma, who will get us the latest in the world of business.
Thanks, Anil, and let's begin with the top business story we are tracking for you. Now, Niti Aayog Vice Chairperson Rajiv Kumar has said that the government has taken cognizance of the existing condition of economy and has assured that sufficient care is being taken to ensure economic growth. He outlined steps taken in the budget, including the recapitalization of banks and opening up of new sectors for increased FDI.
Is cognizant of a bit of a slowdown in the economy. The government has announced several steps in the budget for boosting the economy and for making sure that the financial sector is in good shape and the NBFCs are remaining in good shape. They have announced, for example, that they will give 70,000 crore rupees for recapitalization of our banks. They've opened new sectors for FDI. New sectors for private investment have been opened now for the first time for PPP.
And Rajiv Kumar also cited measures by the Reserve Bank of India like lowering of interest rates that are likely to encourage increased private investment.
Steps taken by the Reserve Bank of India where they have cut the interest rates on 3 occasions now continuously, and that these interest rates will encourage private investment and will lower the EMIs for the middle class and will also make it better for them to buy consumer durables like cars or scooters or two-wheelers or other white goods. So I think the economy will be taken care of because the government is watching it very closely, and there is no reason to believe that we would be in any economic, in any sort of weak economic positions in the times to come.
The Central Board of Direct Taxes has clarified that small startups with turnover of up to 25 crore rupees will continue to get the promised tax holiday as specified in Section 80 IAC of the Income Tax Act, which provides deduction for 100% of income of an eligible startup for 3 years out of 7 years from the year of its incorporation. CBDT further clarified that all the startups recognized by DPIIT, which fulfilled the conditions specified in the notification, did not automatically become eligible for deduction under Section 80 IAC of the Act. CBDT dispelled the confusion created by some media report claiming discrepancy that the IT law was yet to reflect DPIIT's higher turnover threshold of 100 crore rupees. And MSME Minister Nitin Gadkari has expressed optimism that the government's plan to launch Bharat Craft Portal, an e-commerce marketing platform, has the potential to achieve revenues of around 10 lakh crore rupees in the next 2 to 3 years. He added that the MSME sector has the potential to generate additional employment of 5 crore in the next 5 years. The government has set a target to increase the contribution of MSMEs in the manufacturing sector to 50% in the next 5 years. And gold prices in India extended gains, hitting record highs of for the third day in a row amid a weakening rupee. Now, gold rose to by 150 rupees to a new high of 38,970 rupees per 10 gram. Silver rates advanced 60 rupees to trade at around 45,100 rupees per kg. Also, that's it in today's Finance World. But for other news, back to you, Anil.
Well, thank you, Arun, for the updates from the world of finance. Well, moving ahead now to sports. Ajinkya Rahane's 18th half-century anchored India's revival to 203 for 6 on the opening day of the first test against the West Indies at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua on Thursday. Reduced to 25 for 3 by the opening bowlers Kemar Roach and Shannon Gabriel after they were put into bat, Rahane underlined his immense value to his star-studded team with a gritty top score of 81 that helped lift the Taurus to a more competitive position by the end of a rain-interrupted day. Meanwhile, the first cricket test match between India and the West Indies is underway in Antigua. The match was delayed earlier due to 15 minutes due to a wet outfield caused by rain. West Indies made the most of the early conditions there, overcast conditions, to pick 3 early wickets in the first 8 overs. KL Rahul contributed with 44 runs, while Harman Vihari was involved in a vital run stand with Rahane to put India past 200 at the end of day 1. The World Anti-Doping Agency has suspended the accreditation of the National Dope Testing Laboratory, that's NDTL, for 6 months in what could be a massive blow to anti-doping movement in the country with less than a year left for Tokyo Olympics. It is understood that the National Anti-Doping Agency can still carry on with sample collection, but will have to get it tested by a different WADA-accredited laboratory outside India during the suspension period of the National Dope Testing Laboratory. The suspension has been imposed due to non-conformities with the international standard for laboratories as identified during a WADA site visit. The National Dope Testing Laboratory, or the NDTL, has been instructed to stop all testing procedures with immediate effect, and all the samples need to be safely moved to an accredited lab. PV Sindhu, two-time world silver medalist, produced yet another commanding performance as she demolished Boyan Zhang of United States in straight games to advance to the quarter-finals of the BWF World Championship in Basel in Switzerland on Thursday. Sindhu won in straight games 21-14, 21-6 in the women's singles pre-quarter-final match that lasted just 34 minutes. B. Sai Parneet shocked the world and recorded a 21-19, 21-13 victory against Antony Sinsuka of Indonesia in 43 minutes. Bhattacharya Prannoy failed to stop the rampaging world number 1 Kento Momoto in another pre-quarter-final clash. Later in the day, India's top-ranked shuttler Kidambi Srikanth suffered a straight games loss against Kantapon Wangchuran of Thailand 14-21, 13-21. Arjun Bhati, a 14-year-old golfer from Noida, won the US Kids Junior World Golf Championship in Malaysia last month. DD News caught up with a teenager from Noida as he talks about his nascent sporting career.
This is 14-year-old Arjun Bhati, who has recently won the title of Junior Golf World Championship. He's fond of golf and spends most of his time on the greens, honing his skills and in the process managing to create history. 637 golfers from 40 countries participated in the Junior Golf World Championship, and Arjun was at the forefront.
जो मैंने अभी टूर्नामेंट जीता उसका नाम FCG कैलवे जूनियर वर्ल्ड चैम्पियनशिप 2019 था। ये पाम डेजर्ट कैलिफोर्निया अमेरिका में हुआ था। तो इसमें करीबन 637 प्लेयर्स थे 40 डिफरेंट कंट्री से, और जो सेकंड पोजीशन पे आया वो जेरेमी चेन था, वो ताइवान से था। तो मैंने 199 स्कोर लिया, वो 17 अंडर था, और मैंने लास्ट डे 9 अंडर खेला। वो मेरा करियर बेस्ट भी है।
Nobody plays golf at Arjun's house, nor does anyone have any connection with the sport. That's why his family did not take it very seriously when Arjun showed a keen interest in playing golf.
When Arjun was just 7-year-old, one day he told his father that he wants to buy a golf kit. Initially, his father did not take it seriously. He thought it is just another one of those many things that his child is yearning for.
In this success, Arjun has a great contribution from his coach, Monish Vidra, who recognized his skills and then played an important role in shaping it.
Talent itself cannot make you a champion, It can't make you a star. So I have explained to them, talent can last for some time, but the people with dedication and hard work will always catch up with you. Now that is actually one of Arjun's secret ingredient.
Arjun earlier won the title of Junior World Championship in Malaysia and also won laurels for the country by winning other competitions. It was not easy for the family, but they have supported the young boy achieve his dream.
मैं परमपिता परमात्मा का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहती हूँ कि उन्होंने मुझे अर्जुन की माता होने का जो श्रेय दिया है, उससे मैं बहुत गर्व महसूस करती हूँ।
When you touch the pinnacle of success at a very young age, one needs to find time from the golf course as well to meet fans and admirers. The real challenge now begins for the young golfer as he is set to make a mark on the global stage. Ashok Martholia's report for DD News.
Well, new sporting stars there in the world of golf. Well, now it's time now to take a look at the top stories published in the newspapers from the national capital. Our first look is at the Times of India in the Nation pages, where in first the NTA, that's the National Testing Agency, that have announced the dates of 13 exams in one go. The National Testing Agency pronounced the dates for 13 competitive exams, including the Joint Entrance Examination Main, the National Eligibility cum Entrance Test for the undergraduate, the Delhi University, the Jawaharlal Nehru University Entrance Test, and the UGC NET on Thursday. This is the first time that all these dates of these major centralized competitive exams for admissions to various professional courses and eligibility exams have been announced together well in advance. So it gives the people, the kids who are aspiring to give these exams a better opportunity, a better window to prepare themselves for the big test. Well, moving now to our next look at the Hindustan Times. This comes on the front page, the climate change taking a toll on the Western Ghats. It talks about the Kawalpara and the Malappuram incident, where in both places in Kerala, where hamlets have been wiped out as a hillside almost melted away, bringing down everything in its path, home, people and tea estates. It talks about the dangers of quarrying that's taking place in this particular region. A study there by the Kerala Forest Research Institute, published in 2017, clearly based on GIS mapping, has found that there are almost 5,924 quarries in Kerala, and 13 of them within the radius of 1 kilometer, as a result of which this particular nature's fury taking its toll on the people, with a huge loss of lives there in the state of Kerala. Our next one is a positive story that we picked from the Hindu. It's Shivmoga villagers opting for self-help, building a bridge. Guided by 3 carpenters, 75 residents there reconstructed the structure that was washed away by floods. But it's a nice story about how people have taken repair work to themselves and have done the reconstruction. That reconstruction that didn't take much of a time. The whole Gram Panchayat provided them just 15,000 rupees to meet the expenses. The 100-meter bridge is now open for pedestrians as well as two-wheelers there. So a move where people have united and taken things in their hand to get things rebuilt. Our final look is at the Indian Express. India's Davis Cup tie against Pakistan that was scheduled to take place on 14th and 15th of September now being postponed to November. With just 3 weeks to go for that India Davis Cup tie in Pakistan, the ITF, that's the International Tennis Federation, has taken a decision to postpone the tie by 2 months. So this is going to now take place somewhere in November. We'll have to wait and watch. Earlier, this particular Davis Cup tie was scheduled to be played on September 14th and 15th in Pakistan. Well, after a look at the national dailies, it's time now to take a look at history and all the important things that took place on this very day, August 23rd, in history.
Tanguturi Prakasham, a politician and freedom fighter, was born in Vinodharayuni, Palam village in Prakasham district, Andhra Pradesh. He was the Chief Minister of Madras Presidency and subsequently became the first Chief Minister of the new Andhra state. On the same day in 1923, former Lok Sabha Speaker Balram Jakhar was born in Punjab. Jakhar served as Speaker of Lok Sabha from 1980 to 1989. He contributed to the establishment of Parliament Museum. On this day in 1944, Saira Banu, famous film actress and the wife of film actor Dilip Kumar, was born in Mussoorie, Uttarakhand. She acted in many Bollywood films between 1961 and 1988. The same day in 1947, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was appointed as India's first Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, after a jog down memory lane, it's time to come back to the present and take a look at the events that are listed for the day today.
President Ramnath Kovind will inaugurate first ever World Youth Conference on Kindness 2019 at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank will also be present on the occasion. Union Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari will deliver the keynote address at the 6th India International MSME Expo and Summit 2019 at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. Smriti Zubin Irani, Union Minister for Women and Child Development, will facilitate award winners of Poshan Abhiyan for 2018-19 in New Delhi. Poshan Abhiyan is a flagship program to improve nutritional outcomes for children, adolescents, pregnant women and lactating mothers. Union Minister of Jal Shakti Gajendra Singh Shekhawat will release Composite Water Management Index 2.0 at Niti Aayog in New Delhi. The index is an important tool to assess and improve the performances of states and union territories in efficient management of water resources. Jharkhand government will begin the process of free refilling of cylinders along with distribution of 12 lakh new LPG connections under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana.
Now, stories that inspire us. Aksha Dayal, a student of Bilaspur in Chhattisgarh, has designed an umbrella that does not reverse even in strong winds. Dayal was awarded with the Inspire Award for preparing the anti-storm umbrella. The Inspire Award is given to school students for their unique inventions.
Aksha Dayal, a high school student from Bilaspur, takes her umbrella to go to school with her younger sister in heavy rain. But their umbrella is reversed due to strong winds. The result is both get wet. This incident makes Aksha think, why do umbrellas reverse in strong winds? From here, she gets the idea to make anti-storm umbrella. This unique invention led to Aksha being awarded the Inspire Award this year.
हम लोग देखते हैं कि कन्वीनियंस ना होने पर हम छाते को गाड़ी में या साइकिल में भी यूज कर लेते हैं, तो एक हाथ से साइकिल चलाते हैं, एक हाथ से छाता पकड़ते हैं. इससे अगर तेज हवाई और छाता पलट गया तो हम एक्सीडेंट होने का तो खतरा बनता ही है. इसलिए मैंने इस छाते को हैंडल में फिक्स करने के लिए एक स्टैंड बनाया है, जिसे हम हैंडल में फिक्स कर सकते हैं इस छाते को और हमें पकड़ने की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी.
The Inspire Award, instituted by the Union Government's Department of Science and Technology and the National Innovation Foundation, has been successful in inspiring students across the country to innovate. Bureau Report, DD News.
The central government has launched the Inspire Award scheme to inspire children to innovate. A resident of Damtari, Siddhi Pandey from Chhattisgarh, has designed a device for women's safety, for which she has been selected for this year's Inspire Award.
To put a stop to the increasing incidence of sexual harassment against women in the country, Siddhi Pandey, a student of Dhamtari, Chhattisgarh, has designed a device to save women from such incidents. Siddhi has designed a lady's purse under the name Woman Safety Purse, which will be helpful in reducing incidents of molestation.
निर्भया कांड से जब एक लड़की मतलब बस में हुआ था ना ये कांड, तो वहीं से मुझे प्रेरणा मिली कि कहीं ना कहीं लड़कियों के लिए कुछ ऐसा डिवाइस बनाना चाहिए, कुछ ऐसा सेफ्टी डिवाइस बनाना चाहिए जो उसके पास हर समय रहता हो। तो उसके हिसाब से मैंने यहाँ सेफ्टी पर्स और सेफ्टी सैंडल बनाए।
Inside the women's safety purse, she has put sirens which will ring an alarm if someone tries to molest a woman. A GPS system has also been installed in this purse so that the location of the woman can also be detected. In addition to the women's safety purse, Siddhi has also designed safety shoes for women at a very low cost. Sunil Tiwari with Borun Banerjee from Dhamtari, DD News, Raipur.
Well, kids innovating there. Now moving to our good news segment, solar dryer is a farm equipment which farmers use for drying up their crop, fruits and vegetables of medicinal plants. Rich farmers have easy access to this piece of equipment, but small and medium farmers find it tough to get their hands on it. But now, Madhya Pradesh's Indore-based mechanical engineer Varun Raheja has come up with a unique solution. Here's more.
ये दास्तां है एक ऐसे युवा की जिनकी कोशिशों के चलते एक महंगा कृषि उपकरण छोटे और सीमांत किसानों की पहुंच में आ गया है। सोलर ड्रायर सौर ऊर्जा से चलने वाला एक ऐसा यंत्र है जिसके जरिए फल, फूल, सब्जियों और दूसरे कृषि उत्पादों को सुखाकर बाद में उनका उपयोग किया जा सकता है। आमतौर पर बाजार में जो सोलर ड्रायर उपलब्ध हैं, उनकी क्षमता और लागत दोनों ज्यादा है। इंदौर के युवा मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर वरुण रहेजा ने नए ड्रायर को इस तरह डिजाइन किया है कि इसकी लागत कम हो गई है और इसके जरिए फल, फूल और सब्जियों के पोषक तत्व, रंग और खुशबू को भी बरकरार रखा जा सकता है।
दूर दराज किसान जो है, जो मंडी तक आने में उनका ट्रांसपोर्ट खर्चा इतना होता था, कभी कभी तो उतना भी नहीं मिल पाता था, तो उनके लिए हमने एक छोटा सोलर ड्रायर बनाया है जिसमें वो अपने एक्सेस जो उनका बचा हुआ प्रोड्यूस रहता है, जो बिक नहीं पाता या फिर जब रेट कम रहते हैं जहाँ उनका प्रॉफिट नहीं हो पाता, तो उस चीज़ को वो सुखा सके। तो सुखाने के बाद जो चीज़ जो फ्रेश में एक हफ्ते तक ही टिक पा रही थी, जो उसके बाद ख़राब हो जा रही थी, वो सूखने के बाद कम से कम 6 महीने से 1 साल तक बची रहती है। तो 6 महीने तक उनका समय रहता है उनको सेल करने का, और ये फ़ायदा उन्हें ये भी रहता है कि वो 6 महीने तक वो सब्जियां खुद भी जैसे सुखा लिया, उसको वापस वो गर्म करके उसको वापस रिहाइड्रेट करके वापस उसमें नमी डाल के वो खुद के उपयोग के लिए भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं।
ड्रायर की लागत कम करने के लिए वरुण ने इसकी डिजाइन में बदलाव किया है। ज्यादातर कलपुर्जे वे ही इस्तेमाल किए गए हैं जो स्थानीय बाजार में उपलब्ध हैं।
किसानों के लिए एक लो कॉस्ट का मॉडल कहीं भी नहीं था, तो वहीं हमारा इंटरेस्ट आया कि कैसे हम फार्मर के लिए एक ऐसा ड्रायर बना सके जो सस्ता भी हो और उसको कहीं भी पहुंचाना आसान हो। तो हमारा जो सोलर ड्रायर है वो साथ ही साथ फोल्डेबल भी है। तो फोल्डिंग होने का फ़ायदा ये रहता है, जो हमको 8 फीट का ड्रायर हमको पहुंचाने में 4 से 5 हज़ार रुपये लगते थे, वो फोल्डिंग होने के बाद सिर्फ 500 से 1000 रुपये में पहुँच जाता है।
Well, 50% cheaper, 100% green, and it's also a foldable solar dryer. Well, after a look at that good news story, it's now time to take a look at the weather in your city. Well, before we end the breakfast show, we leave you with a positive thought for the day ahead. Rumors are carried by haters, spread by fools, and accepted by idiots. Today is Sarah Banu's birthday, also known as the real glamour queen of Bollywood. Enjoy the songs from her movies. Take care, stay safe and healthy over the weekend. Bye-bye.